Hey, everybody, and welcome to TNMCoaching Unplugged and Zoran Todorovic Integrated Podcast. When we dive into a deeper conversation and transformational journeys of extraordinary individuals who are shaping the world of wisdom, presence, and service. Today, I'm really honored. I have somebody that I really resonate with and I love. Devi Mohan is joining us. She's multidimensional spiritual guide, humanitarian, author. She's a teacher of traditional yoga. She's also a healer. She's at the same time a global ambassador of Mohanji Foundation and president of the ACT Foundation as well. Devi has dedicated her life to selfless service, empowerment, and upliftment of consciousness. We share something in common, Devi and I, because we all run away from the torn landscapes of Yugoslavia and kind of run away from this war. And this war kind of shaped us in a very interesting way. And also for myself and for Devi, gave us a completely different level into entering into our spiritual journey as well. And we're going to talk about that as well, how this war-torn Yugoslavia became a beacon of light and transformation in Devi's life, also beacon resilience, surrender to the deeper spiritual evolution as well. Her autobiography, Home to Refugee, captures the remarkable journey and story of turning pain into the purpose. And this is one of my favorite topics, like how do we use the suffering and pain to turn it into purpose as well. Today, Devi and I can talk forever. I mean, I'm just going to shortcut some of the important topics we're going to be covering. And this is near that experience. We're going to talk about how that actually impacted David's transformation in his spiritual journey. We're going to talk about karma when we understand the connection between cause and effect in our lives. We're going to talk about fantasy versus conscious experience, discerning between illusion and true spiritual awakening. We're going to cover a little bit about her life with Mohanji, how that is for her. I'm always curious about the essence of, behind the scenes of our guests as well. And of course, my favorite topic for this podcast is going to be the greater shift on the planet Earth right now. What's happening energetically? Where are we in evolutionary step? What is going on this Earth right now? How is it relevant for all of us? And then, of course, David's spiritual work and anything that she would like to share with us. What I love about Devi, first time when I met her, I felt her harmony. I felt the balance between her feminine and masculine energies. And I really felt that she was walking this dynamic, living path of inspiring people worldwide. And I hope you're going to be inspired by this conversation as well. So, Devi, welcome.
Zoran, thank you so much. It's so beautiful. And I also loved meeting you. And I'm so happy that I didn't know you had a podcast. So I'm so happy that we reconnected in this beautiful way and hopefully for the benefit of everyone.
Yeah. So let's start with, like your kind of awakening, your life, I shared that we share this kind of common thing that, war in former Yugoslavia. I know that a lot of our, listeners, they want to know a little bit more about you personally. How did this shape you? What really happened? And how did this define your spiritual awakening?
Yes, you mentioned my near-death experience. So I'll start from one of the insights is that I am being a pure, unimaginably unconditional, pure, intense love. And I'm here also to experience what I'm not, So the experiences of what we are not are like direct injection of insight because that changes you. So I experienced I'm not a victim. And that was my key experience of life, when I was 13, about to turn into 14-year-old teenager. There was like intense pain, intense humiliation, darkness, complete lack of meaning in everything, and that was the time when there was a feeling of inner descending into darkness, and I just let myself go. I let myself get completely lost, So when we are in pain, we hold on to something, like we hold on to certain things. But at that point, I just let go of everything. Everything lost meaning. Like I believed that this so-called God does not love me, because otherwise, how could God allow for this kind of pain to happen to me? So in my book, my autobiography, I explain in detail what were the experiences one after the another. And I have a teenage daughter now, and I see how intensely as a teenager you experience everything. The emotions are so intense and everything is so intense. So I kind of remember myself. I tell her, I was your age when I went through like a whole lot of shit. Like I went through horrible stuff. And but we all feel our pain is the greatest, right? Because it's in individual experience and stuff. But pain is a great teacher, and the whole point is that at one point you realize you can have pain, but you don't have to have suffering, right? These are two different things. So suffering comes from the mind. So the whole point is that in that experience, when I realized I'm not this victim, there was a birth of something unknown to me until that point within my consciousness. And that was the inner witness. So I clearly became aware. On one side, I was like sobbing, crying, falling apart. And the other side, there's this like little lamp switched on, watching this me, who's crying and falling apart and sobbing and feeling sorry for herself, So I realized like I don't have to be that. I totally don't have to be that. It's all about gathering yourself, accepting the situation, and seeing what is the one reasonable thing I can do at this point in time to help myself, And I realized that for me, the loss of my dignity was most painful, because I took pride in our beautiful 3-floor house in Croatia that we lost. I took pride in beautiful childhood I had and beautiful family. And suddenly now it's all gone. I don't even know whether my father will come back alive, whether my grandparents will remain alive, because the nationalism was so horrible at the time. You hear bad news every day, And at the same time, I did not feel welcome in Serbia, I did not make one single friend, and nobody was there to express love and compassion. And later on, I realized that subconsciously I was creating that reality because I had a resistance in accepting that I lost what I had. It's gone, right? So that was the point when the turning point was when I opened my heart, and it happened completely unexpected. I can share maybe that experience just to bring this whole
Absolutely, yes.
closer. So what happened is that I suffered. Then at some point, I became aware that one thing I can do to help myself is to study. So I suddenly decided I'm going to study hard, and that willingness just created miracles. Like within 2 weeks, I became the best student in the class. In primary school, it's pupil, right? So the best kid in the class, that was me. Like I just math, physics, language, you name it, I just nailed it, one after the other. And I used to I was stubbornly studying with a torch under the blanket, this thick blanket, because I was put in a room with no windows and it was winter, so it was like freezing cold, but that couldn't stop me. Like I would stay in school as long as I could. And then when I come to this accommodation where there were 30 plus refugees, and in this room with no windows, I would study with a flashlight under the thick blanket. But I did it, and I started feeling better, because of that kind of feeling of holding reins in my hands, like I'm doing something. But I still hated everybody. I still they looked at me like that. I looked at them like that, like all the kids, and they called me the stinky refugee and all the ugly names, how kids can be very cruel and they bully. Everybody goes through that at school. So what changed was that one day I experienced the therapy through writing unexpectedly, because the professor of literature gave us an essay to write, and she named it Children at War. And she said, you can write anything on the topic of children at war. And for me, it was like a therapeutic experience. I actually wrote everything that was weighing heavy on my heart. I just outpoured, this, the whole thing, all these horrible experiences. Like one day they informed us that my dad's throat was slit, and that he's dead. And then we cried the whole night. Then they informed us next day it's somebody else with the same name. So stuff like that were happening, where you emotionally go through a complete roller coaster. Then, oh, it's not true. Then somebody steals the very last thing you have, some gypsy boy steals it, so it's like these small things just like bite you, and you come to a point where you just like lost it. But with this essay, I just wrote all this stuff. I don't even remember honestly what I wrote, but I just know I wrote about my reality and how I felt, and all the pain, the pain I felt. And it was very intimate and deep and vulnerable. And so when my teacher read it, she was so touched that she read it to her whole. She brought these essays home, and she was, reading the essays at home. And then when my essay came, she was like crying. She was so touched. Then she read it to her family. Then everybody spoke about it. Then at school, she read it to other professors. They were all like, "Wow!" And then she read it to the school principal. And he was a wonderful man. And he said, look, I feel every kid should hear this, like they should know what she's not the only one. What do refugees experience in Serbia today, and we have one among us. So he called me to his office, and I was shit scared, when they called me to principal's office, because yeah, because the kids were mean, and they were setting me up. They once looked at me in the toilet when I was using toilet, and then they were like talking about my behind, or like really ugly stuff. So I could expect only ugly things, right? I was so harassed that at some point I could not possibly imagine something beautiful could happen to me, right? So when I was called to principal's office, I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna be some disaster. So I was like shaking and came there, and he asked me to sit down, and then he said that he's read my essay, and that he feels this is something all the kids should hear. So he said, I would request you right now to hold the microphone in your hand. I'm going to stop all the classes in all the classrooms. This mic is connected to all the speakers in the classrooms. So every child in the school will hear your story, provided that you have the courage to read it. And I was like, so when you have that feeling, boom, in your throat, like, oh my God. I said, but it wasn't meant to be shared this way. It's very intimate. And he's like, yeah, that's exactly why it's powerful. But he said, to be honest, I feel I'm going to cry when I read it. So it's just not possible. I don't think I'll be able to, read it and without crying. And he said, it's okay. I'm going to hold your hand, and then he just took my hand. And, at that moment, I really felt like, so I missed my dad. My dad was forced to go fight in the war, and I really didn't know whether he was going to make it. But I felt that was the beauty of masculine, like when they say woman is a pearl and you have that feeling that you're in a shell. He gave me that shell. He's just like, I'm right behind you. I got your back, holding your hand. And it really worked. Like, it gave me the courage. I couldn't have imagined that this one act of stepping out and opening my heart would really change my reality. It changed me, and it changed my reality, because that was not just the end to victim. It was a moment after I read the essay. I did cry a bit and all that, but I managed. Then there was the bell rang. It was the end of the class. And I'll never forget, I get goosebumps now. I remember it. Like, I stepped out, I opened the door. I started walking in the hallway, and kids were coming towards me, and they came to hug me, and they came to like express love. And some of them said, I'm so sorry if I was one of those kids who hurt you. I didn't realize how much you suffered. Da da da. So, but many of them just had that look in the eyes, and just came to hold my hand or to hug. And I just felt like, is this the same school? Like, literally my reality changed. So that was the point where I understood that, people who let's say, women who were raped, they come out of that feeling only when they start helping somebody who has gone through a similar experience. So I in that moment I did something great, not just for myself, but also for other kids who were harassed. I helped them. And then we all just, plus I melted the hearts of those kids who just didn't bother to see what we were going through, didn't think, They had their Nike shoes and their hamburgers and the usual stuff. They were not bothered. So that opened their eyes. And it was already the end of a semester, so like I pretty much suffered for 3 months continuously. But that was like the moment where I promised myself I would have high education valued all over the world, and that's what brought me first one scholarship in Rome, $40,000, then master's degree in America, $40,000. It was all linked to this very moment when I said I'm not a victim, and then I opened my heart. So that experience for me came in two phases. But when I had a near-death experience, that took everything to the next level. That's when I totally understood the game. The game that we are thrown in here, we were made to forget, who we are as souls. And we just are thrown into this kind of constructed reality, the construct of something, the matrix, the Maya, and we are all swimming, it's swimming in this maze. So that's something I wanted to talk about, because I also realized that people who have been given certain experiences, also have, in a way, responsibility to share the insight, because there is a reason why I was sent back. I didn't die, right? So I'm not the only one. There are so many people who went through this clinical death or near-death experience. And I checked this Next Level Soul podcast. I watched like 3-4 of those podcasts, and I was entertained, and I see that we all pretty much go through similar thing, right? So, and nobody comes back with anything but awe of that divine love and intensity of how we are loved by divine, and how we are as the presence of that light, the so-called soul. It's actually just like presence. So first thing that we lose is that complete presence of awareness, and when we come here, we forget we are that. We forget that there's nothing that can burn you, harm you, destroy you. Nothing can dim your light. Nothing essential can happen to you here that can destroy you as a soul. It's impossible, right? Only if you believe so. So the whole battle is here. The whole battle is after the mind and the heart, right? But in terms of the presence, that remains, right? So it's enough that while we are here, that we come as close as we can to that internal presence, to divinity within. And that's the whole point of our life. So we have to also meet other energies, people who are instruments of this dark light, you could say, or absence of light, because there's nothing but absence. There's light and absence of light. There's nothing else, right? So I call it absence of light, right? So you meet people who really resonate in that frequency, who are very cunning and twist everything around and press your buttons, and then you feel like you lost it, like you feel lost, and then you lose your willingness to even connect with your own light, right? So that's the whole point, that you are boiled like that frog in the hot water. You slowly, everything is chewed away from you until you lose the very thirst or drive, inner drive, to reconnect with yourself, to be that presence, and to really live that love. Because that love of divine and that brightness is like 1,000 times more than what our mind can imagine. In India, they say Devi Surya Sahasra. So divine light is like thousands of millions of times more. So in India, they speak of the story when baby Krishna opened his mouth and he showed that, right, to Yashoda. So basically, it's very rare that anyone can withstand that light. So if we were to see the light of divine right now, we probably wouldn't be able to take it. Yeah. So why? Because it's a living presence. It's not just the light, right? It vibrates through you. It's who you are. And then when you're fully blocked, let's say you smoke a lot, you drink, you eat a lot of meat filled with violence, you keep gossiping, you keep exposing yourself to this low frequency energy, and then suddenly the light, you can't take it because you. So what we need to do is first cleanse ourselves. Like right now I'm doing it's called Nira detox diet. I'm just so that this is my food for today. I do it every March and every September. And it's amazing. I discovered this online. I feel great. My meditation is like 10 times deeper. My belly is super flat. I lose like 5 kg or so. I feel good. And on top of everything, I measured myself. One lady said, "You are 11 years younger after Nira." I invented that machine that measures your biomass. And plus, you save money. So I just want to say I'm not paid by anyone to promote this, but Nira is my choice of detox. I'm sure you have your own ways of detoxing. Or let's say going to sauna, frequently you sweat and you wipe that sweat off because we detox through the sauna while we sweat. And sports, definitely yoga, much more powerful than usual sports because it puts you into the balanced state right there, or maybe Tai Chi or some other stuff I haven't tried. So everybody has their right to, explore, but you cleanse, you balance, and then you catch. Meditation is not an activity. It's just being with the self. And sometimes something just, you feel like the energy comes and just overwhelms you. Something happens. That's the meditation. The activity is not the meditation. That's I always clarify for people who think, oh, you're doing a meditation. I'm like, if you're doing it, you're not meditating, actually. So that's the whole point, that we come back. But what I feel the most important, as you mentioned, my balance of masculine and feminine. Masculine, what they call Shiva in India, is the presence. Feminine is that flow. So you could say, because I see it like pillar of light is the presence, because you go like you withdraw into your center, and you're right there in your central axis. This is the key, our stairway to heaven. And then you feel the flow at the same time. It's still and flowing at the same time. So people call this, when this experience happens to you, you can say Shiva Shakti experience, or some say activation of Merkaba, right? I've had that experience when you feel something is turning clockwise from, let's say, heart above, anti-clockwise from below. But at the same time, while I'm witnessing all this, I'm the presence, right? It's very difficult to explain the words. And you feel everything in 360 degrees. That's exactly how I felt when my soul left the body. I was in 360 degrees. I went through a complete summary of my life. But it was very interesting. Now I'm jumping from one topic to another, but maybe I'll just briefly explain that. So the way I felt, I was the presence in the middle, but my awareness was multi-point. It spread all over. And I was able to watch this little plasma screens of scenes of my life that were shown to me. And I would see it within like a second or two. And I would understand what was the point of this experience, what was the lesson my soul was learning from this, and whether I passed that exam or not. And it's usually got to do with us being loving no matter what. Exactly what Jesus taught, actually, right? So
No matter what experience we have, no matter what kind of hardship, no matter what, being loving, no matter what.
yeah, if you're able to still feel the love in your heart, you haven't lost the love or the presence, right? The soul is the presence, and presence is love. It's all one, and light is love. So if I were to explain divine, so it's exactly that. So I was explained all this little screens all around me, but I'm the witness in the middle. I'm that presence in the middle, and passing through And once all of these summaries were finished, everything was clear to me, as a soul, why I incarnated, what I experienced. And I saw that divine providence and divine love was there with every experience, including the painful ones, you know? So even that dark light or absence of light, even that is a design of the light. Like it comes from divine, because the whole point is the experience. I have to go through the experience, because you don't own it unless you really got it, and you got it only when you experienced it. So that's why I say it's better to risk than to regret not having the experience. You came here, go for it. Just go for it. Whatever your dream is, go for it. Whatever is your moment of facing some fear, break the bubble. Go for it, because you're here for the experience. So that was the whole point. But once I came in front of the light, whoa, that was like 100 orgasms at the same time, but not with second chakra, from your whole being. It's like, you feel you just want to completely merge in that light. It's living, vibrating light, all knowing, all present, all everything. And in that moment, I just experienced something that I could never possibly put into words, but I just know now that I'm so loved. I'm so loved. And even when I make mistakes, I just remember that light, and I know I'm the child. We all children of divine. Divine. I don't want to use the word God, because it's kind of put out of context very often by the dogmas, but divine loves us in ways we cannot imagine. So if I want my child to grow, now my daughter Mila, I'm not gonna keep her under my wing all the time. I have to let her go out into the world and experience, to have her experience. I want her to grow, so that's why divine pure love sent us here to grow, and that's all it is. So then I was told, it's not your time yet. You have not fulfilled your mission, and your mission is to serve the unity. So that when I was told that telepathically, then automatically I started like withdrawing and condensing. It's like, and then I found myself in the body. And I find this interesting for some reason. Like other people who have near that, we look at the hand. This is like the first thing you do, because you can't see your face, obviously. So
yeah, where is my hand? Where is my hand?
it's like the hair. Oh, I'm moving the hair. Oh, I'm back in the body.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling from that 360-degree awareness, that expansion, that brightness. You feel like it's like so less, This physical experience is like, I don't know, 1% of that. We still experience some love, through our heart. We do. We experience pleasure, we experience joy, but it's just so less, like so just like on the spectrum of light, we see very small part of the spectrum. Same like that, the intensity of experience there is much more. So naturally, you don't really want to come back, But when you send back, you also understand, this is where I'm working out my karma. This is where the action is. This is where the experience is, and the opportunity to grow, right? Because the reason why we came here, we came to offload some of the stuff that we carry as a weight that pulls us down, gravitational pull kind of thing. So now it's chance to work on that. So after that experience, I was not really the same. The first thing that dropped was fear. And nobody, I went to a monastery church, so nobody could make me fear God. It's like, that is BS. This is like the worst lie of all the lies, There is no, in fact, all manipulation on earth happens through fear or greed. So if you recognize somebody using fear or greed on you, that's the sect, that's the dark light, so people who inspire you to be more loving, to serve humanity, to express love through selflessness, these are real deal people. and they can only inspire through their own example. So they can't just talk the talk; they have to live it. So that's the whole point. So that completely changed my reality, and that's from there on I started my studies and all that. But that was formative experience for me. First the sufferings, then this pain. But this actually was a scary experience because there were 10 Albanian guys at the door breaking in to probably rape me and kill me. So I was on a window frame ready to jump. That's why I had that intensity of complete concentration on the door handle, because I decided the moment they break in, I will jump. So I still can't explain to myself how this experience happened, but out of shock, maybe I left the body, but I definitely had the full summary of life. I already gone through all that, and then I was sent back. And the most beautiful and loving thing was that Albanian woman who met me only once in her life risked her life for me. And she was super scared of these men, because even Albanian people in Kosovo were afraid of this KLA, Kosovo Liberation Army, extremist guys. So she risked her life. She went among these men and she yelled at them, and she said, it wasn't me. I mean, later on, she told me the experience. Something came over me, some supernatural strength. And I just told them, leave her alone. She works for the United Nations. She's from Croatia, which is true, but I'm Serbian, So Albanians, they don't hate Croats. So that kind of worked. So she's from Croatia. She works for you, and leave her alone. And she commanded this man, and they just left, So that was, I would say, that was divine intervention. So from that point onward, I was also open for what the famous writer Ivo Andrić calls the road signs, the znakovi pored puta, like near by the side of the road, you have these little signs. The synchronicities, the little signs from divine that we all get, but very often we don't see, And this is when you enter into intimacy with divine, when you trust, you express your love, you take time every day to be in silence and be in that loving space of, as Rumi said, waiting for the beloved. You wait for the beloved. You're there, and you're open for the guidance. That's when we enter into the intimacy with that divine presence. But it has to be from within. It's never going to be from outside.
Wow, Devi.
I spoke so much now.
Devi, the transmission has been given. I really, really loved it. Thank you so much. I mean, for this wonderful transmission, like that really, really, really resonates with me. A few things that I want to ask you just as we're getting into this conversation. So you mentioned that this intense light and intense divine presence, the frequency, which is absolutely beautiful, and it really kind of shone within, help you transcend the fear, right? And I know that a lot of the people, nowadays, they're struggling with this, transcending the fear and being able to let go of what is really holding them back. And what I really love what you shared is also when you transcend the fear, you engage with life and you go for it, because part of the game that you described is also about us living the life to the fullest, being able to engage, not being regretful. And I agree with you, because I had an opportunity to coach people when they were passing, in their lives. And I always was curious about it and asked them question, how do you feel about your life? And they will all tell you the same thing. They were regretful about the things that they wanted to do, but they didn't do.
Exactly.
And something held them back, right? Something held them back. They didn't jump into it. They didn't have enough courage. They felt insecure. They felt this was not the right moment. But this was the moment they were really regretting, not the moment when they failed, made mistakes, changed jobs, got divorced, changed the countries, live abroad. All of these adventurous experiences were something that shaped them really well. So the whole, question here just for you, how do we empower people, and how do you empower people to transcend this fear? What is the method? What is the way for people to let go of what is holding them back so that they can fully engage with the life and live it to the fullest?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, fear is actually opposite from love. So when you're in any a form of fear and that feeling of contraction and energy that kind of blocks you from entering into action. I believe the way forward is to first increase the amount of love you feel, because love is opposite to fear. It's really, some say, okay, hatred is opposite to fear, but in terms of frequency, love is opposite to fear. Like same thing happened to in the same place, Kosovo. It happened to me once that a guy was about to attack me on the street. He was only like 3 meters away from me when I suddenly brought in I got this insight to bring golden ball of light into my heart and feel the love, and then visualize golden ball in his heart, feel the love, and just send that love. Yeah. So if there is fear, that means you haven't really connected with love. So in that moment when I connected with love and I just sent all my love, I increased my capacity of love in the heart, that completely, all the fear disappeared. And this guy could not attack me. He just got like sedated or confused or something, and just passed me by. And I tell this to people, and some of my friends tried it with a police officer who went to give you a fine. So it's like she just oh, sorry, and I'm sorry, don't use many words, but just focus on the golden light in the heart, golden light in his heart, and like literally soul to soul you send love, and suddenly he's just gonna soften, unless it's some kind of psychically disturb, some maniac or somebody. There are people who are beyond repair, who have been really damaged, so that probably wouldn't work for them. I don't know, maybe it would, but I don't recommend trying it with those. But with like usual situations, like when there's fear, increase the love, and then bring love into action. So go out doing something loving, tangible. That's where the selfless service will change your life. It's gonna bring you out of any fear and any feeling of that you are not good enough. All these low frequency energies, the lethargy, delay. In India, called this tamas, one of the gunas, one of the states we are in. So the moment you increase this tamoguna, and in our language, tama is the darkness, right? So because we had Vedas in our Balkan region also, not just the Indians, but it's okay. We're going to restore that true history one day, hopefully soon. So Vedic knowledge, it's all about understanding that you allow this tamoguna or tamastic state to increase to a point where you are in fear, in anxiety, in lethargy, in like contraction, right? So how do you break out of it? Sometimes it's just say it's not all about me, let go and serve somebody else, help somebody who is in much worse situation than you. Because if you look around, you're not really that poor, you're not really that sick, you're not blind, you're not really doing that bad. So we need to start walking from where we stand, and this is the whole point. So I would advise that. Second is at some point we have to face these fears that come, and there are methodologies for working on the inner shadow. So shadow is nothing but contents of awareness that are hidden from us. And I remember Anita Murjani. Do you know about her? She's a lady from Hong Kong who had this profound near-death experience. So I read her book, Dying to Be Me. And she explained there that beautifully, she gave the best explanation of near-death experience and also the greatest possible metaphor, which I really loved. And that is like, we all fear this dark basement. You open the door. God knows what's inside, and then the little sound happens, like, so we fear the dark, we fear the unknown and all that. So she said, imagine suddenly there's like big neon light got switched on, and you see every content of that basement. You see, here's the bed, here's the shelf, here's some decorations, here, all kinds of stuff. Maybe you see things you've never seen on planet Earth, you wonders, and then the light is shut off. And then next time you enter this basement, you're not going to be afraid, right? You're going to be walking there with a completely different thing. So this is the whole point. That light is the light of awareness, So if we can bring the contents of the shadow into our awareness, even things we don't like about ourselves, for that you need to be sincere and vulnerable, You need to be ready to open up, go through processes. So when you're really afraid of something or you're really annoyed by something, it's got something to do with you. It's not about that person at all. So it's everything is about us. So we can say that other people that come to us are just a reflection of some part of ourselves, and that's actually true. The whole thing is within. It's all us. So once you realize that, the biggest training is to be with the love no matter what, and be with that presence. Be continuously aware of the presence of divine light in your heart. You can place in your heart or in your central axis, or whatever you call your center. So you keep going there and you're present, and you start to, that is when we feel the flow. And the flow is the sign that we live life in the right way. Whatever comes to me, I accept. I'm grateful, either a lesson or a blessing, right? No problems, challenges, lessons, or blessings. Both, I'm grateful, I'm grateful. If we can reach there, then what fear can happen then? For fear of what? So it's actually very simple.
Fear of what? Exactly. And I love this part of the gratitude that you're also sharing, when we are grateful to all the lessons and all the blessings. And, when I teach and coach my students and also people that are my clients, I always tell them that, life, it's all about learning the lessons and engaging into wholeheartedly engaging into learning for each and every encounter, each and every lesson. And when you begin perceiving that, then we permanently transcend this state of victimhood that the planet Earth was in for such a long time. And that leads me to this next question. So planet Earth right now, Devi, the extraterrestrials are landing from any planet we can choose. We can choose Pleiades, we can choose Sirius B, Sirius A, we can go even cosmic, we can go to the other solar systems. And they're asking you or asking us, what's going on this planet right now? Where are we evolutionary? What's happening next, and what we're heading into? What will be a sharing to them?
Yeah, the first time when I read about this so-called shift on planet Earth was before 2012. It was 2008. There was Dr. Sunny Satin. He did past life regressions and spoke with the higher self of like hundreds of people. And he made it a point to ask each person the same question. What is this shift happening on planet Earth, and how is it gonna happen? Right. So all of them said the same thing, that it's kind of picking up from 2012 onwards, but it's only around 2030 it's really we all gonna feel it, and now as we are nearing 2030, we can see like massive changes all around us, like things that are happening at a very high speed, the way technology and AI and all this is changing our lives. And if you compare the life now with just like life 50 years ago, it's like unbelievable difference, right? But what we see also is a huge shift in awareness. I don't know if you heard of telepathy tapes on YouTube. There's so many podcasts, just like your podcast, which are sharing like higher insight, people's direct experience of divine inspiration, because somewhere we feel there's this some kind of excitement going on, like we feel that we are regaining the freedom, we are opening the curtains, right? It starts to happen. As I said, the intensity you experience, the intensity of very presence, once the soul leaves the body, it's like unimaginably more, so the whole point is we want to bring that into our physical experience. If we can bring the divine experience into physical, that's the thing, that's the game. And exactly because the closer you come to the light, the bigger the shadow is. Even in physical world, this is the case. experiment, put the bright light, the closer you come, your shadow becomes bigger, right? So the closer you come to your divinity, all the contents of your shadow are going to come out, and that's the true inner work. That's the true inner transformation. So if you see people who are just like, oh, love and light, I'm all the time, no, I do fall apart sometimes, but because of my spiritual muscles, I come back faster, right?
Exactly.
So we need to go through a series of small deaths. We need to really go raw and naked with the shadow, because you have to go through it. So that's the most inspiring part, and that's why in my autobiography I didn't write to make myself look good. I wrote about the raw moments, when I felt like a whore, when I felt dirty, when I hated myself. It's like all this stuff, we have to allow all this to come out, and it's definitely going to happen as per the speed that we can take. So in India, they explain it with Kundalini. Kundalini, Mohanji, my husband and the spiritual master Mohanji, he explains Kundalini as the promise of divine in a human body. So for you to experience divine in your body, your Kundalini has to rise. Otherwise, it's not happening. It's all fantasy, right? It's projection. So Kundalini cannot rise when there are too many blockages in your central axis. The way to cleanse your central axis is to serve humanity, serve any being, sentient being that needs help in any shape or form. It doesn't have to be only by donating money or stuff. Sometimes you help in any way you can help. But when you act selflessly and then later on you sit with yourself, you feel there's kind of more space. Some clogging was removed. So love is the journey and destination, right? It's all about love in the end. And you can't progress spiritually unless you become more loving. When you're more loving, you start to glow. That glow comes not from the makeup or some special creams, right? It's from within. Your aura starts to become brighter and people see it. They kind of sense it. So you can't fake anything, It's really, but we have to be willing to get raw, get vulnerable. And that's why I do Women's Circle. I inspire our women. We are the ones who were by nature given the womb space, which is the black hole of the universe. We are far more vulnerable than men. And we teach men it's okay to be vulnerable with me because I love you, like it's okay to show your stuff, we are there for one another. So this is the true intimacy, not, looking for somebody with money and big car that they show off with their muscles and their car or whatever the, media kind of puff the stories, right? So that is the real spiritual work, the real inner work. When you allow yourself to fall apart and then get reassembled by divine, this is like the height of it, And Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he spoke about that experience, Mohanji shared this with us, so I'll just retell the story because it's powerful. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa went through all sorts of spiritual experiences, but at some point he went into intimacy with Mother Kali. The moment his love in the heart was so intense that when he would invoke her, she would come, and he would go into bliss states and stuff, And then one day he met one old spiritual master, and he told him how I go every day into bliss states. I'm with Kali. And he said, tell me one thing, is Kali within you or outside of you? And he said, well, she's right in front of me. She's outside of me. Then take a sword next time and kill her. And he said, oh my God, how am I going to do that? So that was the last step of Maya, that divinity is outside, right? So anything experienced outside is part of the Maya, right? So at some point he understood, he did that, but for him it was so difficult. It's like he would much rather kill himself, He would cut off his legs and arms, but not kill her. This is so difficult to do. because he loved her so much. But when he cut her, that was the moment she became one with him. She was with him, right? So in our physical world, we are given intimacy as men and women. We lost the sacred dimension of it. When you become one through intimacy, there's nothing more beautiful than it. And that's like through physical, you reach the divine. And that's why sex and sexuality, especially female genitals, female orgasm, female sexuality, was turned into some evil, right? It was made, we were made to feel like whores for any small thing, and the biggest number of suicides in high schools among girls is because they were made to feel cheap and like whores, right? That program is so heavy. So that's one of the things that really need to be healed in collective consciousness. And that's what I choose to do with my women's circles now. It's like one of the, aside from the Axe Foundation, where we continuously do selfless service hand to hand. I have to say that it's very important that we do it hand into hand. And with Mohanji, through Mohanji Foundation, we work on raising people's awareness. Mohanji's main techniques are all about central axis because he is masculine. He's all to the Shiva energy. So central axis, becoming aware, breathing up and down your spine, doing mantra chanting, focusing on central axis, then Kriya, consciousness Kriya, received from higher consciousness. It's all about central axis. And that truly is the most powerful part of our body to work on, because then you work on everything, right? But as I said, I also feel from my side, I'm grateful to have a husband who gives me freedom to be myself. So I have my work to do, and my work is with the women. And it's now been so profound. I just finished one women's circle 3 days ago. Oh my God. It was the lunar eclipse, and we went into this vulnerability. And I can't tell you how deep we went. We were not crying. We were all puffed. It took us time to come out. So these are the direct experiences. So that's actually, for me, the biggest reward would be to help other people feel the presence the way I felt it, and I invoke that divine presence. I intuitively get some guidance and I share that. But at the same time, I feel so empty. So when you said I'm a healer, I never call myself a healer, but instrument of healing. Because I feel anything, when you say master of some technique, unless you really mastered your mind, you're not the master, right? So I kind of feel that if we give ourselves titles too early, that really blocks the progress, So the safest thing is the instrument. And at some point, if I become a master of something, other people will say it, not me, right?
Exactly. Thank you so much for this transmission. As I said, thank you so much. I think this was a potent conversation. I hope you're going to have an opportunity to talk again and unfold a little bit more, because there's so many things that we can dive into. But I just left it to be grateful to your transmission and to all the topics that we covered today. So thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure and a joy to have you on this podcast. I know this is going to be one of these episodes that people in our community are going to love and are going to listen again and again and again, because there's so much in it. So thank you once again. And everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for liking this podcast. We're growing exponentially due to you. So I'm really, really super grateful that our podcast really picked up in the last 6 months, and we are having more and more people being part of our community. So thank you so much. This is one of the good podcasts that you're going to share with your family, with your loved ones, with your colleagues and coworkers, because it gave that so much. So thank you once again, Devi, and everybody else. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, Zoran. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity to share. To all the people in the audience, remember, you are eternal soul. The consciousness is the most potent and most powerful dimension of your existence. So be there, be with that, be with the love, and enjoy the journey. And that's all I could say.